Welcome to a special edition of Space Engineers where I'm going to go over what we get in the brand new signal pack that just dropped. So I've got all the blocks lined up here, but I'm going to go through them one by one so we get to see. So there's more interior blocks here. You've got these angled interior blocks, give you a little more space when you're walking past. There's a very plain one, and I noticed the little things, like they even got wires running up into these things. A lot of detail. Keen's done a very good job. There's another one of these interior blocks that has a light in it. And then you've got these which have a little bit more of a column, a little more of a centerpiece, just a little bit of a different decoration to it. And then this one, which is a corner block. So you can go around a corner very easily and smoothly with that. Now what I've got over here, this actually looks like another corner block here maybe, but it's not. I'm going to kind of fool you here. These are actually 4 blocks put together. So one thing that's always been kind of limiting in Space Engineers is everything's at right angles. You kind of go this way or that way, but these blocks here now can be placed at a 45 and still be attached to your grid. And so it's a combination of these sort of triangular of 45-degree angled blocks, and then this very special one that just squeezes right in the middle to fill that gap that we can see right there. It's very nice. I like these blocks. I think a lot of people will get a lot of use out of these blocks. If we look at the backside briefly, very simple, very simply designed, so they'll probably fit into almost any kind of build that someone's working on. So I like the interior blocks. Those are really good. Next, we have a whole series of 5 control panel blocks that have come in. Some are more functional than others. There's a little kind of outside corner piece here, no particular function there. There's this one. This is my favorite of all of them. It's got a control chair and some panels on it. It's got another straight panel one here. This LCD is configurable. You can display things on it. If you're a big fan of automatic LCDs, then you'll enjoy that. You can display information, and it's got 3 usable buttons on it. This next one is plain. Even though it's got these LCD looking panels on it, it's non-interactable. There's absolutely no function with that one, but it's a nice decorative block. And then this corner one, it's kind of a mix of functional and non-functional. Even though the displays can't display anything, you can jump in the chair. And you can see at the bottom, I've got all the action slots. So this could be a functional seat for someone in the ship to be able to do things with. One thing I also noticed is here on the end, they've got these, it's like electrical connection sort of thing. Like as you hook these things up, they would hook together. They don't actually transmit any power through here, just being attached to the grid like any other block would do the same thing. But I thought that was a nice touch. I thought that was a very nice touch. Now coming back to my favorite one here, this chair, not only can you jump in and you get the same kind of action slots at the bottom, but each one of these LCDs is fully configurable. So again, if you're using something like automatic LCDs, imagine seeing all kinds of readouts here. You got your co-pilot in the seat. He's got readouts of, altitude and weight and thrust and battery. Maybe he's running a mining operation. He's got all the displays, and you can see over. A lot of the other control consoles are completely blocked by a screen. You can actually see over this one pretty nice. So yeah, really like this block. It's probably my favorite out of all of them, even though I do kind of like this long one here, the long LCD and the buttons. Buttons are always good. Always give more buttons. In the back, you can see these are the sort of non-interactable, and these are more like business office kind of control seats that are over there. All right, now we come to some of these bay windows. Again, comes in this little corner block here to come around at a 90. You've got a very plain bay window. You've got the same bay window with a railing, and this one actually ends. This block kind of ends it off here. So it's open on one end and ends off here. And then finally, it's got what they call the dome block. So this dome block, you could probably situate it on top in some way, or just have a quick little bay window looking out of your ship here. So yeah, a nice little array of blocks. Now, like a lot of the window blocks, they are tinted on one side and clear on the other. What Keen doesn't provide with these particular windows is the ability to have an inverted view. That is, like, this side is not clear with the other side being smoked. They only come in this one version, kind of smoked on the, bowed out part and clear on the bowed in part. But I think, again, very nice. It'll add a lot of distinctive shape to a lot of bills. Very nice. Next, we've got a whole series of these passageway blocks. We already have some passage blocks, but I think these will be really good. You've got a really plain one here, and it is a passage, true passage. It has a bottom, side, and two sides and a top. Simply appointed, nice block. This is the same thing with a light down the middle. Always love lights. I think lights are great. You've got this one here. It's the L shape. Or a corner block, if you will, and I've got them arranged in a way that you can kind of see that. So you've got this corner block with opening on two sides. This is a kind of a T passage. It's open on three sides here. And this one, it might be kind of hard to tell, but this is open on all four sides. What we're seeing here is this wall. That's part of the next block with the one with the window in it. So this is kind of a four-way passage here. Now, I love windows. More windows is great. I love a lot of the windowed blocks. This is a windowed block where there's a window on both sides. So we can see that right here. I think that's really good, really nice. Be able to see out. Then this one has a window just on one side. You can see all the way through there. But yeah, window on one side, and then they left nothing out, window above. So yeah. Nice little roof, little moon roof there. So yeah, full array of blocks, really well done. Like to see that addition to the game. Now here we have these trusses. This is kind of an extension of the girder system that we've had, but there's a couple important things to kind of note here about this. So you've got one truss here. So what I'm going to do here, I'm actually going to turn on my display a little bit and pull out my torch so we can see what's going on here. This particular truss is right in the middle of the large block, and it also comes with a cross section and a T section all the way at the top. Okay, now there are two other blocks that are considered part of this truss module, although you can use them not necessarily attached to a truss. There's a truss light like that, and a truss decoy, just like the regular decoys we have, which draw lightning and ammunition fire and things like that. Now, this is all kind of part of this set, but there are two more, and I pulled out my torch so we can see these are what they call offset trusses. They are not coming out of the center, they're coming out of the side. It's the same kind of vertical truss, but what it has that the others doesn't is this angled truss that comes up, does a 45, and then back across again. Now, what's also different about here is that I don't have the option to put in either the cross piece or the T piece with this offset block. So a person just kind of has to decide how they want to build and which one is going to suit their purpose. But yeah, some extra building blocks for trusses. I can see lots of little pointy lights appearing on people's builds. They're probably going to appear on my build. Next, we have some half passageways. Very simple one. Boom, boom. Half passageway. Half passageway that I absolutely love because not only because it has a light in it, but also because it has storage. It has 3,000 liters of storage, and you can store more in here than just like guns and ammo and stuff and data pads. I could take a large steel tube, so it'll hold large items as well, as long as I just directly place them in. 3,000 liters of storage, that's pretty good. So you've got not only a half-sized passageway, you also get storage. 2-in-1, 3-in-1, because you get a light. Absolutely love it. This next one is a half passage with a door. And of course the door comes in, it's got a little panel, press the panel, open the door. And it does open and close pretty quickly. A nice fast door. So that's good. It's a full-size block, but half-size passage. And I say it that way because this is a half-size block with a half-size passage in it. So if you're doing a lot of half-block stuff in your build, this might fit in perfectly. And they still managed to squeeze in the little control panel right there. So there you are. Now the back side of these I actually think looks pretty nice. I like the way those doors look back there. It's very, very good. Very nice. Now, just to finish out, I think they probably missed a couple of these panels, but these round panels, these two, you come with the signal pack just to complete. There's a lot of other rounded panels, but you kind of get this quarter round and this inverted round here just to complete that set. Next is a functional block. This is a broadcast block. I'll open it up so you get an idea here of what's inside. Here you can create several messages and put a custom name of who the message is coming from. And what this does, this broadcasts messages on the game chat. That's what this broadcast block is. And so you can broadcast messages. I can see this being hooked up to maybe some sort of defensive block. When someone gets within a certain range, it starts broadcasting, beware, you're in dangerous territory, we're going to fire on you, something like that. So you can set this up and then once again automatically kind of you could do it manually here, but obviously this is a control where you can send a random message whenever something happens. But maybe even more functionally, you can send your current position, a GPS coordinate. So maybe you've got out someone mining, and they find a really good resource, rather than having to, you know, maybe this is just a little quality of life, rather than going to the GPS, setting a marker, copying the GPS coordinates, pasting that in chat for, you know, the rest of your faction. Here you can just say, hey, I found some uranium, bam, there it is in chat. So maybe this is good, a little quality of life, maybe just something for fun to people to play with. I don't think it has a huge impact on the game, but kind of nice. They did a lot of detail on the back though. It could have just been a square block, but it's not. It's got a lot going on there. And something I also noticed here, I always like it when Keen does this. They always take an opportunity to spell things out on their little buttons here. This actually says, all hail the almighty Clang. So yeah, very good. Yeah, Keen always likes to have fun with their stuff. So I think that's really cool. Next, we come to this action relay block. So yeah, this, it's kind of I got to explain this a little bit differently. This will transmit an action to a completely separate grid. Now, we're not talking about subgrids. We've always been able to control things on a subgrid, but this will send things to a completely separate grid, a ship somewhere. And what it prevents you from having to do here, I'll open up the console. Normally, if you wanted to control a completely separate grid, a ship somewhere, you'd have to go in here, pull down the other grid that you might be on, and then select it. And then if you wanted to go back and do something on your main grid, select that. But you're always having to come back to this control and manually select it, which also prevents automated actions from happening because it's a very manual process to go in and control a completely separate grid. This is a quality of life because now not only do I not have to go through my kind of control panel and manually switch things, but I can automate that. So completely other grids can get signals from this grid. And I'm going to demonstrate that here in a second. But one thing that needs to be in place, I will now talk about the compact antenna, because both the grid that you're on and the grid you're sending a signal to both need to have an antenna and be part of that antenna's network. So the compact antenna here, it is literally half the size of the other antenna that's kind of its counterpart. It is 1 block wide and 3 blocks tall, whereas the other antenna is 2 blocks wide and 6 blocks tall. So it is literally half the size. People are going to really like that. I've had trouble fitting in such a long, large antenna before on my bills. So that's absolutely great. Now over here, all I've really done is place down the small block version of several of these things and give a couple explanations for them. So what we do have here is the truss block, the same truss block we saw down there in orange, that's the middle setting one, sits here on the small grid. They were able to reuse it. But what you don't get here, you don't get the cross truss, you don't get the T truss, you just get a straight truss, but you do get the little truss light. And the little truss light can sit on top if you want. You get a small grid version of the broadcast block. This particular little LCD display is non-configurable, unfortunately, but that's okay. They all don't have to be. But yes, this is your broadcast block in small grid. Just has an antenna setting on top. And this is the action relay. This is the small grid version. So this action relay can talk to that action relay and vice versa because this antenna. Now notice this is just sitting on a landing gear. It's just magnetized down. It's a completely separate grid. It's not a subgrid of my main station. It's a completely independent grid. And I'm going to come back and demonstrate this in a second. We get some of the same versions of the bay window. The only thing that you really don't seem to get here is the one with the railing, but that's okay. You get some bay windows. You can kind of see that arrangement there. You get the extra complement of the rounded plate armor, and you get the small block version of these little consoles. Aren't they cute? You get the little corner piece here. This is a configurable LCD completely. Bam, bam. You can do configuration on it. You get, just like the other one, it had one that was just purely decorative, no particular LCD or anything with it. Decorative one, you get one with buttons. Give buttons. Love the buttons and the inside version, and they also have the little electrical port that isn't an electrical port, but it looks that way, so I like it. Okay, so that is what you get with the pack. So let me quickly demonstrate how this relay, action relay, communicates to this one. So I'm just going to come in here. I am going to use this though, because I think having at least an interactable thing is cool. So this small grid action relay is set up on channel 1, and it has a setup action to simply turn off and toggle on and off the truss light that's on that grid. That one right there. So over here, all this block needs to do, I will manually activate this because I don't have anything automatically set up. You could, once again, send this to a timer block or some other event, but here I will send the signal on channel 1. It needs to be on the same channel. I'll send a signal. And so now the light is on and she's a flashing. So I've sent that over there. Okay. I come back in here. I'm going to send the signal again because it was toggling the light on and off. Now the light is off. So you could use this maybe. I'm coming up to the hangar door. Imagine I'm in a large grid ship of some sort, or any kind of ship really. You could set it up with sensors and different kinds of things to automatically open when you get close, and after you come inside and sort of pass by the door, maybe it closes. But maybe you don't want it to be automated, and every time you pass by your door, it's opening and closing. Maybe you want it on demand. So something like here, these blocks, you can open and close other grids automatically. I'd be really curious how the community, and they will find some very creative ways to use these things. But yeah, it needs to be on the same channel, needs to be connected through an antenna relay. I got my small antenna there, and one of these two here will work. And that's what you can do with that. Now, a couple things that I haven't talked about here, because it's not really a block, it's more of a game change, and that's the fact that when containers now are destroyed, they're exploded or something, you don't just get components and things falling everywhere. They now go into what's called a temporary container. So you can open up and move things out of the temporary container. That's kind of true regardless. There was also 2 scaffolding blocks that were added, but I couldn't really tell which ones of those were part of this new DLC versus the prior one. But you do get a couple more scaffolding blocks I'm not displaying. Now, all this comes with the DLC. I keep mentioning that, but if you don't buy the DLC, you're not completely left out in the dark. You get the awesome compact antenna right there. You get the complement of small and large grid action relays. You get the small and large grid broadcast blocks. You get the extra rounded panels to complete that set. And you get that drop that I talked about of the temporary container. That just kind of is part of more of a game change than anything else. So yeah, that's what you get in the DLC and even the non-DLC. I think it was a pretty nice pack. A lot of things that are kind of semi-functional or fully functional in there. A lot of different things to change up the designs. And I'm probably going to be using a lot of these blocks in my current series that I'm doing, the Escape from Purdom series, the kind of extra hardcore playthrough that I'm doing. Some of these things came in just in time. I'm going to actually use some of these. So tell me what you think. I think it's good, well worth the value, a lot going on here. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll be talking to you later.